Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, and we are live. Welcome to A Nice Place to Brew, December 10th edition. I'm Jason.
And I'm George.
And I'm Polly.
This is a webcast where we talk about all things beer and beer making. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We do our webcast here on the YouTube channel every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Our past episodes are available on our YouTube page. Our episodes stream on Facebook as well. We have an audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew. Check out our recent episode where we talk about the history of the Pabst Blue Ribbon Award. Our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com, and our social media links are on Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I do hope that later on in the broadcast we can get to some homebrewing questions. There's no guest tonight. It's just the three homebrewers. So I think we've got plenty of platform to answer any questions anybody has. But before we get into that, what is everybody drinking tonight?
Okay. I'm going the cider route tonight for what I'm drinking. So I have Bold Rock Premium Dry, which is a crisp dry apple cider made from Virginia Blue Ridge apples. So I've had it before. It's pretty tasty.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Polly?
I'm drinking an amber ale that is released. Put it that way. I just released today, so kind of nice. Right.
Cool. Hashtag Where's Polly? I don't recognize the ceiling.
Yeah, no kidding.
Same place.
It's like a church basement.
Well, I'm in the overflow room. I'm in the overflow room at the brewery. I'm not back in the storage closet getting the racks thrown at.
Okay. Yes, now I recognize it. Okay.
But come on, we've all been in a church basement that looks exactly like that, with the drop ceiling, the white columns, and
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely. I am empty-handed at the moment. I had with me here this bottle of homemade wine. Today was going to be the annual wine episode, which we have done 2 years in the past now. So this is going to have to wait for another day. Just a little preview. Me and my winemaking partner Rich, we bottled the last of our 2020 wine this past Sunday. We're quite pleased with the results, and it'll be a good episode once Rich is able to join us and we can talk about that. But for now, that's just going to have to wait. So I'm thirsty, and I need to go get a beer. Can you guys keep the fort down?
Yeah, we can.
Absolutely.
No
Thank you. Yeah.
So let me start off. Hey, Josh, how you doing? This is one of our regulars down here that's heard about the podcast, and he's been going on here making comments. So how you doing, Josh? So how you doing, George? I haven't talked to you in a week, so.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I started demo on my brewery so I could rebuild it stronger, and basically has involved ripping down a few walls and so far. So I feel good about that. It sucks that I can't really do a whole lot with brewing right now because I can't bring it into my house and do small batches because my wife for some reason hates the smell of wort, but it is what it is. Yeah. Wow. What about you, Polly?
I'm doing good. I have to add on, you mean your brewery, you mean your brew shack, kind of like the Love Shack back in your backyard?
Tin roof rusted.
Oh no, they just it's been a fun week at the brewery, so just kind of trying.
Yeah.
I had to do something the other day that I'm not very proud of, but every brewer's had to do it. I had to dump a batch. Yeah, I was doing a kettle sour, and I had it chill down to the temperature, and I set my control panel to the temperature it needed to be, and I left, and I come home, I get a phone call at 9:30 from my bartender saying, "Hey, your boil kettle is boiling over." I'm like, shut it down. I'll deal with it in the morning. So I looked in there, it boiled all my lactic acid. I was like, I'm not even going to mess with it. I'm just going to dump it and start from scratch. So all I did was all I did was lose 100 pounds of grain. It wasn't like I lost a whole batch completely, but still, it still sucks.
Yeah. I mean, at least you didn't lose the hops and the yeast and everything because you were you were supposed to be pre-boil.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Josh just said, "Oh, what brewery?" I assume he knows what brewery you're at. If you're asking about me, I'm talking about my homebrew setup. I've got a outbuilding on my property that is my brewery and was my office, and I have moved my office inside, and now I'm rededicating that as solely as a brewery. So, yeah.
So yeah, wait. Did you decide? Are you gonna do all? Are you doing gas out there? Is that what you're doing? Natural gas? Did you convert? Are you doing that conversion?
I do. No, I propane. I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna probably stick with the propane. I looked into a homebrew steam setup because you got the wheels spinning for me there, and it's possible, but it does involve basically building a small boiler and being able to pressurize it and everything like that. And it would be an interesting experiment, but I think it's probably a little bit more than I am looking to get into at the moment.
Yeah, because then you're gonna have to get a whole new kettle too, so you can get steam in the kettle. You gotta have those jackets and all that. So,
Right. Yeah. So I think I'm just gonna stick with the propane. Probably get some fire bricks to put underneath my Hellfire, even though it's really good at sending the heat up instead of down. Just get some fire bricks to put under that, and I think I'll be good.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing the pictures. I saw the picture you sent me the other day. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, Jason, hey, are we brewing Sunday, Jason?
We certainly can.
All right, we got the big and dark. I got the
Nice.
ingredients at the house.
Okay. All right.
Do you have a mill, or do I have to bring it to work and get it milled?
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't have here at the house is I don't have a mill.
All right, I can take care of that.
Okay.
I have a couple accesses to mills in my life, so don't worry about that. I got that taken care of.
So Sunday's gonna be our day.
Yeah, let's do a Sunday. Let's do it like late morning, and then we can go hit Goldfinger afterwards.
All right.
Oh man, now I really am jealous.
Now you are jealous. George, you will be so in your element at Goldfinger. Like, yeah.
Like, okay, so Sub-Zero Chicago Brew Day, not very jealous of, but brewing and then heading out to Goldfinger, yeah, okay, now you got me.
Speaking of that, yeah, what is the weather forecast for Sunday? What are we looking at?
I don't know. Let me see. I'm gonna check my phone right now.
Yeah,
you guys
Around here it's going to be 60, so I'm
you know what? It was like 53 degrees out here in Wilmington today.
Oh yeah, it was warm up here today too. Yeah, mid-50s. It was very nice.
And it's good. It's gonna be cold.
Nice.
It'll be high at 34. I mean, all we really got to do is, we can hang out in the basement bar and then go check on it, like I used to do at my house. Whenever in the winter, you're like, go out there, do what you got to do. All right, it's got to go up 50 degrees. Back in the house.
Yeah.
Jason, you need a webcam that you can mount in the garage. And point it at your brew kettle, make sure it's still boiling, everything's okay there.
I mean, this could all come together. This would not be horribly difficult to put something like that together. And George, you're a technology guy. You know this stuff is not that much of a reach.
So
no, you could have that ready tomorrow.
Yeah.
I foresee a few phone calls to George the next day or two. So.
So George, okay, I slept on that, and yeah, this needs to happen. So, all right, I got X, Y, and Z.
Next thing you know,
how do I put these together?
You're going to be rigging up. A automated platform that you can hit a button and hops fall into the kettle. And
all right, well, that's a brilliant idea. I think I know myself well enough to know that's a little above my head. I think you do too. So, as in, me well enough to know that's a little above my head.
I got no fucking idea what you're talking about, so we're just leaving it at that one.
We're talking about hitting a button and like doing hop additions.
Yeah, I know.
So
being able to build it, I got no fucking idea how to do that.
I have toyed around with the idea, to be honest. But yeah. So yeah.
I
So
got.
you guys are doing your big and dark, huh?
Yeah, we are.
doing.
Oh, go ahead,
No, we're
Jason.
not doing the big and dark. It's a barrel age project.
Yep. Barley
Oh,
wine.
barrel
right?
age. Okay.
No, it's a Russian Imperial.
Oh,
I think
even better.
I think we're doing Imperial Stout because Kevin got a whiskey barrel. I don't know what whiskey barrel he got, but he dropped the stuff off at the brewery last week. Yeah, he dropped it off last week. So we'll plan on doing it Sunday, late morning, early afternoon. And as long as we're done enough time to go catch Goldfinger right when they open, we'll be fine.
Cool.
And then we'll send Jason pictures.
All right, our numbers are growing here. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. To continuing on the home brewing plane we got going here. I got a story from my last brew day, and I think it'll be a great topic to talk about here. So I made what may have been a mistake last night, and you guys tell me just how bad this was. Yeah.
Okay.
So a couple weeks ago, I brewed a Baltic Porter, which had a gravity of 1072 when I pitched the yeast. And the yeast, I bought one packet of yeast from a local. No, I shouldn't even say a local place. Let's do this.
There you go.
The world famous brew and grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois. Sat on a stir plate for 48 hours, so had a ton of. It was easily the biggest yeast starter that I've ever made, because I needed something like 700 billion yeast cells to ferment down this 1072 beer at lager temperatures. So I got what I thought was all the way there. So I pitched the yeast. Yesterday was day 16 after I had pitched. And I'd gone out. It's on a temperature controller at 55 degrees, which is well within the range of the yeast. Was bubbling away the whole time. Just looked very healthy, all good. At day 16, I just kind of lost my patience, and I went out and transferred it to a secondary. And my plan was the order was going to be like this: transfer to secondary, raise to diacetyl rest, and then drop 5 degrees per day down to lager temperatures and let it clarify from there. So here's where this went off the rails. After I transferred the beer already, I siphoned off just a sample into a cylinder and took a gravity reading. So the gravity reading of the beer as of last night was 1030. So
it's going to be sweet.
Higher than I had thought. So,
yeah.
And probably a little premature for moving off the trub.
Was it still fermenting when you dump it? When you pulled it?
So it was maybe just drop. I mean, it was little to none.
But you didn't take a reading before you pulled it?
No.
Because that's what I would have done. At least taken a reading, because this is exactly what I'm doing right now over here. Is I'm doing a hazy, and I use one of the Kvekis, and it was like. It was going crazy, like last Thursday when we were doing it. Like when I was texting you guys, like it was bubbling pretty good, and then I dry hopped it for the high craising because that's what you need to do for the hazies.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I did that, this thing started going nuts, like bubbling, sanitizer shooting out of my bucket and everything. And then I figured, because I know Kvek, if you do it right, you can do it in like 3 to 5 days. Thing was still bubbling this morning. And I took a gravity reading just for shits and giggles, and it was down to 1010, started at 1064, and I went back to the notes, and I was below the target, so I was happy with that. Yeah. But it was still bubbling for a second, and then after I took the gravity reading, it stopped. So tomorrow morning will be time to dump the yeast and do my very, very, very aggressive dry hop, which is going to be almost 6 pounds for 2.5 barrels, which is a lot of fucking hops.
Yeah, it sure is.
Jason, going back to your situation, what was your expected final?
Yeah, I gotta look back at it. I think it was probably like 1018, which I know I'm not going to hit 1018 right now.
Yeah, because you already pulled it off the yeast.
Yeah, so I have what, to paraphrase the Grinch, might be a wonderful, awful idea. Is bring it, because you're at 1030. There's still plenty of sugars in there. You cold crashed it in
No.
the second.
No,
No, you haven't.
No, I've not done that.
Where are you in? Where are you in the process right now?
I'm in the diacetyl rest right now, and
We're
I'm
in a diacetyl rest.
and
Okay.
it is re-fermenting right now, at least to a low degree. There's still bubbles going on in the airlock. So
Okay,
I'm not
so-
quite ready to say that I completely just ruined this batch by pulling it too early. I mean, reality is if in secondary I can go from 1030 to 1020, I'll call it a win. But probably a lesson learned. Probably when you're doing lagers, maybe the takeaway is when you're doing a lager, keep it on the yeast when you're doing the diacetyl rest. I think that's a fair takeaway.
No,
I would agree with that.
Agree with that one. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the one bad Jason no biscuit thing that I would say is if you're gonna move it to a secondary, take a reading before you do, so you know that it's ready.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
But so I've got 3 potential ideas. Number 1, you're at the diacetyl rest right now. Maybe drop it down to the fermentation temperature and let the suspended yeast do their thing. You might be surprised with what you get.
Do you think that would have more? Do you think it would be more active below the diacetyl rest than at it?
Yeah, probably, because
so?
it's a lager yeast, so the lager temperatures are usually a little bit lower, like mid 50s, where you were fermenting it before.
Yeah.
Number 2, go back to the world famous Brew and Grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois, and buy some more lager yeast and just direct pitch that. At 1030, you won't need to do a starter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It'll have plenty of cells to eat the rest of it. Then bring it back up to diacetyl and drop it down.
Yeah.
Number 3, and this is the most dangerous one, but I think it would be the most guaranteed to be effective, is bring it up to mid-high 60s, pitch half a pack of USO5, and let it chew out the rest of the... since it's a nice and clean yeast, it shouldn't affect the flavor too much, especially on a Baltic porter. So that is an option, but that's really kind of getting you far away from the lager aspect.
Yeah, it's funny because it's amazing just how much knowledge that we share, because those exact same 3 things have been playing around in my head since yesterday.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna kind of based on what, agreeing with what Jacob just said in the comments, he said, wouldn't lager yeast produce more out of being stressed out at high temperatures? Now, I'm going to read into what you're saying a little bit, Jacob. That wouldn't it have the potential to produce more off flavors when stressed out at high temperatures? In other words, kind of fermenting in suspension at a diacetyl rest. And I think the answer to that is probably yes. So if you want to let the yeast in suspension do their work, drop the temperature back down to a lager temperature and let it sit for a few days. Take some readings as you go. When you get too close or when it stalls out, then bring it back up to diacetyl and then drop it down.
I can get behind that one for sure.
It
might take a minute though.
Yeah.
It does make some sense, but wouldn't you have that? I mean, let's go back to what we were saying about doing diacetyl rest during primary versus secondary. If you were doing that during primary and you have so much suspended yeast that's left over in the liquid, wouldn't you potentially have that same problem every time you do that?
Not necessarily, because the difference between a normal diacetyl rest and what you're doing is you have fermentable sugars still.
Yeah.
Whereas normally when you're doing a diacetyl, most, if not all of those fermentable sugars are
already eaten up. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So let me ask you this, though, Jason. Did you taste the beer? How did it taste? Did it taste extra sweet?
Yes.
Did it taste like it needed to be
It's
more?
too sweet. It's
too sweet.
All right.
Yeah. So you created a milk porter, which I don't even think is a thing.
I didn't use lactose in it.
Well, I know, but yeah, I mean that's
Interesting thought. I'll tell you. I mean, I think my direction right now, at least for the moment, is going to be just to let it do its thing. Like if the bubbles stop, then I think my direction is pitch more yeast, drop it down to lager temperatures, and then redo the diacetyl rest. That makes sense to me. But the beer is doing right now what I hoped it would do, which is continue fermenting. So,
okay.
I mean, I'm not tempted to interrupt that right now.
What yeast did you use?
So, fuck is my notes? Hold that thought.
Okay.
All right. That getting back at that, I see Randy, one of the apprentices, said they just brewed theirs. Hey, Randy, respond to the comments. Did you guys do your big and dark stuff that I dropped off last week? Like to know that. Kind of curious. So George, I don't know. You been to any new breweries? I just went to a bunch of cool breweries on my birthday. I had fun with that.
Did I tell you guys about? Oh crap! Was it 1786 or something like that? Did I tell you about that one?
You may have. Remind me. How about that? Tell the story again.
Yeah, story. Well, it's a really neat brewery. We have a lot of farm breweries around here, and so it's one of those. And they did it up real nice, and so it has like different areas where you can sit. Some are more secluded than others. And it is a brewery winery, which is another thing you'll find around here a lot is combination situations like that. And they've got some pretty solid stuff. I'm really happy with a lot of the beers that we have gotten there. I've gotten some good Belgian styles, Belgian Strong, Belgian Gold, Blonde, I believe. And one that I really enjoyed was an Irish export that they did. Was really nice. Nice and dark, smooth. It wasn't nitro, but it was very smooth in flavor and the consistency is what I was looking for there. Yeah.
That's cool.
So Jason, did you find your yeast?
Yes. So the yeast is Y Yeast 2206 Bavarian Lager.
Okay. You might want to just go cheap and get some 3470. That's a lager yeast, a German lager yeast.
It sure is, and it's versatile too. You know what? That's an excellent idea, Polly.
Yeah, it's an
idea. I think I've got my direction.
What do you have it at right now? What temperature wise do you have it at right now?
68. Okay,
that's about 10 degrees above its standard temperature range.
Yeah. But it's it's a set, it's ideal for diacetyl rest.
It is. But like I said, if you're gonna just try to see if the suspended yeast can finish it up, you might want to drop it down because it'll have a better chance of doing that.
Yeah. Drop the temperature back down slowly.
Do it right now.
Yeah, I'd probably say go.
That'd be my thought. Yeah.
Do it 5 degrees.
I mean, you don't have to run right this second, but
yeah, do it like 5 degrees today and 5 degrees tomorrow or Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah. Okay.
And then do a pitch on whenever you get down to that. I would say the high end of the temperature range, and then do the pitch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do.
You don't get those crazy off flavors from having hot work.
Right.
Yeah. That's my concern, man. You spend all this time doing this, and you have that. Yeah. So we're talking about so Jacob said we were talking about the alcohol and finishing through, correct? The off flavors are sure to be there with lager yeast. I found it interesting. The brulosophy experiment they did. Marshall only does the lager yeast temperatures at 66 before cold crashing, and the triangle experiment supposedly provided a clean profile. I've not tried it myself, though.
That sounds risky.
It does sound risky, but what he's saying is that if I remember correctly, the triangle experiment is they have three different ones, and they do basically a blind tasting to see if they can pick it out.
Right.
No, actually, the triangle, it's kind of like a placebo thing. You got two of the same. The one that we did as a club, There was two of the same. One of them was different.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably what. Yeah, so two are the same. One is different. Can you spot the different one?
Yep.
And he's saying that they came out with a clean profile, so you might. I mean, you might be okay. I mean, the most of the fermentation is already done,
Right.
so you might be okay.
Hey, I'm going with what you guys are saying. Right when we're done with the broadcast here today, I'm going to drop it 5 degrees. Drop it 5 more tomorrow, and I will visit the world famous brew and grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois, and grab some 3470. And let's just not take any chances with this. Let's do this a clean way. This has been one of the most troublesome brewing exercises I've ever gone through. Well, if you remember, my yeast starter froze.
Oh,
I do remember.
I had all that extra time on the stir plate. My temperature controller died on me the day of my brew day, and now this. So this has been a hassle and a half. So, but listen, all for the love of brewing, Well,
all I'm going to say, Jason, is if you come in on Saturday and use a promo code that we all talk about, you get your discount.
What Paulie is referring to is promo code Jason to checkout.
Oh man,
classic.
There you go.
Oh, it's funny.
All right.
So,
well, thank you for the advice, guys. That was excellent.
yeah, man.
No problem at all.
These are some of the best conversations we have here on the webcast, where we get into really the details.
Yeah.
What things went right, what things did not, and review those. And then, fortunately, here today, I still have a platform where I can correct what I did yesterday and probably keep this as a pretty presentable beer.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think so.
I'm like, Jason, you walked away. I hate to say this twice in the same show, but I told George about it. I had to dump my first batch this week.
No shit. At Route 66?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you take off the tri-clamp?
No. It didn't go no, it did not go
Okay, so it was intentional then.
I know. I got it. But, so I was doing a kettle sour and I chilled it down to temperature, right? And I got it down to like within a degree or two that I was happy with. And then I turned my elements on because you don't have the electric brewery. I see a raise and I'm like, what's going on here? So I turned it off. I got it back down. I had, sat and talked to a couple people, and then I turned it back on, and I went to go judge the Big and Dark competition at Mad Hatchet because I was one of the judges this year. And I get a call from one of my bartenders that my boil kettle is boiling over.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And you weren't even there?
I wasn't even there.
Oh, my God.
So I told him, I'm like, just shut everything down. I just shut it down. I'm like, I'll come and deal with it in the morning. And then
did they know how to do that?
Yeah, I talked them through it. It's just two switches, really.
Yeah.
It's really
after judging imperial stouts. Oof.
Yeah. So it was one of those. So yesterday was kind of a rough day. Probably one of the first rough days of the brewery. Not being nervous about working at a brewery.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to happen. I mean, I probably could have saved it. I talked to a bunch of people, and they said I probably could just repitch some lactobacillus into it and call it a day. I didn't want to take that chance of whatever off flavor came from the lactobacillus that just got boiled the night before.
Can you educate the listeners on what lactobacillus is?
Lactobacillus is bacteria or yeast that you throw in when you're doing a kettle sour. You do the whole mash, you transfer everything over, and then once you get your collection, you chill it down to about 90 to 100 degrees, and then you add this lacto. Or what a lot of home brewers do, they throw a couple of dollops of some yogurt with I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
Cultures.
Thank you, George. Live cultures in there,
Mhm.
and you let it sit for a few days, and you measure the pH, and you just watch it drop down, watch it drop down. Yes, Josh, about 3 days, 1 to 3 days. It depends on how sour you want it. The lower the pH, the more sour it is.
Yep.
But yeah, so I left, and I get a phone call. I'm like, shut it down. I come in, and I'm like, what a way to start my Tuesday. Whatever. It is what it was Wednesday.
Yeah. So Polly, you may have been able to, like I know what you said. You wanted to be better safe than sorry, which I totally get. But you may have been able to add it in because add more lacto in because boiling is how you kill lacto. Is how you kill it. And when you do your boil and you do your brew day and you add your hops and stuff, that kills it also. It no longer lowers the pH and affects the beer and makes it more sour. So effectively, other than the boil over that you had, all you did was kill the bacteria. And had you cooled it back down to 90 some degrees and added more in, you could have conceivably done that.
Yeah, I know, and it was kind of funny. I had all this information in my head when I finally talked to my owners, because I called them, and I'm like, we could probably save it. It could happen, but we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, and I didn't want to take the chance of going through this, and then no, we have to, instead of just dumping wort that just had grain in it. Now I had to dump a whole batch that's got yeast and hops. And all the money we spent on that. I'm only dumping half the batch, not the full batch. If that makes sense.
Okay. Is that because you're doing double brew days to fill the fermenting tanks?
No, I'm not doing double
Okay.
brew days. No, it was just because when you do a kettle sour, you just transfer into the kettle, and then you chill it and let it sour in the kettle. Hence a kettle sour. And then once you get your pH down to your preferred flavor profile, then you start the brew day over. You boil it and you add your hops, and then you chill it down to temperature and add the yeast and everything else. And I watched a very good video about this when the reason why a lot of breweries are doing kettle sours, it's a great way to do a sour and not contaminate your whole brew house, which I can get behind that.
Right. No, I get that.
Instead of at least you're only kettle sour, and then you're transferring from here to here. You're not adding Brett or whatever you use for Flanders, all the stuff, all the crazy funky stuff, that could totally ruin your brew house. You got to shut production down and completely change everything over. I'm kind of scared of doing a Brett on the pro scale now. I've always been scared of doing a Brett, to be honest with you, just because kind of scared me. You always hear these stories of breweries doing a Brett, and then next thing you know, they got to shut down production for 2 months to completely get the Brett out of everything. Kind of like COVID. You get COVID, you got to shut everything down, clean the place out.
That's a hell of a way to describe a beer style.
Slightly different, but okay. Yeah, that's Brett is on my list, but I'll tell you, it is. I'm on it a little bit because of what you're talking about. Like that can get into everything, and
we lost him again.
He was on a roll too. I'm pretty sure where he was going was. I won't even speak for him. I will let George continue right where he left off.
Brett can be really hard to get out of your equipment.
Yeah.
Is what I was saying. Yeah.
So maybe the way to plan that is when like all your tubing is down to like its last batch, and then just pitch the tubing after the Brett gets brewed, and then the hard elements, your tanks, mash tuns, kettles, everything, just get a very, very strong PBW wash after that.
Very hot water too. Very hot water. Maybe
And I know that's
hot water
that's
beer.
it's clearly oversimplifying it because yes, I totally get why that would be a nasty problem to deal with. But at least on a homebrew setup, I mean, it can be that simple. And it's one of the things that we've talked about in the past about sanitation and cleanliness is don't take any chances with tubing that may or may not be clean.
Yeah.
Run liquid
that's true.
line cleaner through it, and if that doesn't do the trick, pitch it. Just reattach new hoses and just be done. It's cheap.
Yeah,
it's
I think
easy to put together.
All right. I just noticed a couple questions here on the comments. Jacob, question about your sour with the Brett. I mean, are you using plastic? I don't know what a petio blend is, but if you're using plastic, you might want to dedicate that strictly for sours again. Your auto siphon, I would dedicate that strictly for sours again. If you're using plastic, but if you're using glass carboy, you can probably get it out of glass carboy. But if you're using plastic brew buckets and stuff like that, once you get that Brett in there, I wouldn't put anything else in there except for another Brett beer.
I've seen more than one home brewer have a sour, like a Brett set of equipment and everything else set of equipment.
That is horrible. That is horrible.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like brewing an English porter right after you made a Brett sour, and you have this really nice clean English porter with all the nastiness of the Brett that's mixed in with that? Ugh.
Oh, that's gross. That's so gross. But
gross and upsetting.
He just said he's worried about bottle bombs. Everybody's worried about bottle bombs if you're conditioning your beer. We'll just leave it at that right now. Your bottle conditioning, bottle bombs are a thing no matter what you do.
Yep.
Especially with the Grolsch latch top bottles, like those I don't use if I'm going to bottle condition. I will only use those if I'm filling it with a beer gun.
After it's already been carbonated and everything, yeah.
Exactly. So I use those to like take to homebrew clubs and parties and things like that, but I won't bottle condition in those.
It's worth mentioning. Wasn't it Sean from Mad Hatchet that made mention that he did a combination of both of those before he would submit beers to competitions? He would fill bottles with a beer gun, and he would also supplement with a small amount of priming sugar just to hold that carbonation in.
Did you say Sean?
Yeah.
I thought that was Scott from Buffalo that would do that.
You might be right. I don't recall.
I do remember that.
I think it was Scott.
Yeah.
Either way, like I think
it's a good idea.
All right.
We lost Jason.
Yeah, we lost Jason. But we got another question here because I've been following him. Luke says, does potassium sorbate work on Brett too? Well, you don't want to use potassium sorbate if you're bottle conditioning because potassium sorbate. You'll kill everything.
Yeah, you'll never carbonate that way.
Yeah. So and potassium sorbate works to stabilize beer, but I'm not sure it does work on Brett because that's a different reaction, and I'm not sure it will stabilize a bacteria in the same ways that it would stabilize yeast.
No, I'm pretty sure it would not.
No,
I'm not sure potassium sorbate's going to work in that scenario.
No.
So, but hey, guys, keep it coming, and if anybody has any questions that are like off this topic, that's totally fine. We're here, and we don't have a guest, so we can answer whatever you got.
This is a show about all things beer and beer making.
Yeah. Another one said, Jacob said he did 3.5 CO2 Saison, living on the edge. I'll probably, sorry. My bad. Lost you guys.
You're bad. What happened? No, you're here.
No, you're good.
I hit the wrong thing.
Okay.
Convert to cork. I would convert to the cork. I would probably cage it. You know, if you know what the cork and cage means, a little wire thing that goes on the top in case the carbonation goes up, and that at least helps stop the cork pushing out.
Isn't 3.5 a little high for a Saison?
I'm sure it is, but I really don't. I don't got the chart in front of me. I can go grab the brew puck if I have to.
Yeah.
I got the internet.
Well, on that note, you guys answer that question. I need a beer and a smoke. I'll be back in a minute.
George,
All right, cool.
would you be able to possibly find a screen of maybe a chart that can represent that? Like, I admit I have some questions about that myself. 3.5 CO2 Saison. 3.0. Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with these scales to
A screen.
to know
I'm sorry.
everything.
A screen of what, Jason?
A screen of these CO2 scales that we're talking about.
Oh yeah, they are out there.
By style.
Yeah, and if you look up what is it, CO2 conditioning or keg carbonation chart, you'll find them, and they have they're color coded based on different, like, pretty broad styles like stouts and lagers and ales and things like that. But you'll find them out there. I'd pull it up, but I don't trust my internet right now.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. I'm seeing. This may take me a little bit of time to find. There are charts here, but it's not exactly by style like we're talking about.
Is it like red, yellow, green, blue?
Yes,
like
and that's
that?
To me right now, for what we're talking about, that's not all that helpful.
Okay. Yeah. So, but anyway, so yeah, Jacob, 3 is a good target. 3.2 is a good target for a Saison. 3.5 is a little on the high side, but from what I'm seeing here is you can do them higher. Like someone, like you said, Orville is at 4. You're just going to get a really sparkling Saison, which is a little bit of a different, whole experience. So, yeah. So, yeah.
You guys see it?
Oh, I'm not seeing. I'm used to a chart like that one up in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I like that this is by style. And to Jacob's point, if you're at 3.0, you're exactly where you want to be.
Yep, that's a good one.
Nice. I wish that list was longer. Stop share.
Maybe there's a table 2 on that page.
You might be right.
But yeah.
I'll keep looking. So
I'm a little surprised.
Oh, here we go. I found it.
Okay. What'd you find?
And actually, this will probably be a better one to build conversation around. Here we go. So this has more styles.
Yeah. Active sodas, water, sparkling water.
What?
That's PSI.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take that and figure out how, and convert that to vols of CO2.
Okay. All right.
If to compare it to some of the other charts, but I think that's probably PSI, at a certain, amount of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just goes to show why stouts and porters and barley wines are so easy to carbonate.
Yep. So what's the latest on the brewery construction?
On what?
The brewery construction.
Oh, like I was telling Paul earlier, it's in the demo phases right now. I'm ripping everything out and redoing the electrical, and this time I'm going to put in a dedicated exhaust fan, so I
Excellent
can
choice.
not steam, not put myself in a sauna every time I brew.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. Have you made the decision about what your first? I will save this. I'm going to ask this question twice. Have you made the decision about what the first beer will be made at the new brewery? Bear with us, people.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to ask this question for a second time. Have you made the decision about what the first beer in the new brewery is going to be?
Oh. Yeah, I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to have to do one that I'm very familiar with. So I think I'm either going to do an amber or my Belgian blonde that I have. Just to make sure that I have my equipment dialed in the way that the way I wanted it to be.
Yeah, I would totally do something.
That's a good choice.
You've done a few times.
Yeah.
To at least see what you need to change.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
so
Belgian,
I'll make that.
Belgian blonde's a clear style too, so that's going to show up if there's any imperfections in what you've got going.
Right. Yeah. So that's the plan currently. Probably one of those more standard styles that I have.
Oh, wow. Look at this question we got here in the chat. Randy, do you guys have some tips on someone wanting to get into winemaking? Oh, boy, do I.
Yeah.
3 years.
Have at it, sir.
3 years running. This was supposed to be the wine episode today. We are going to have a very in-depth episode later on about winemaking. But let me I'll even throw out a couple of facts here just for anybody who's here watching this broadcast who's experienced in home brewing and may have little to no experience in winemaking. Winemaking is, in my opinion, much easier than making beer. And there's arguments on both sides of the coin as to which one's the easier one. Winemaking you will find to be more forgiving, I would say, than beer making, because beer making can go wrong in so many different ways, and if you mess up along the way in beer making, you're screwed. There's really no recovery that you can end up making from it. Wine, you have things you can do. You can stabilize. You can do additional rackings. You can degas. There's that gets you through the process and past some mistakes that you can make in winemaking. So, and honestly, this is one certainly we can talk about more on future webcasts as well. I'm a big fan of wine. I enjoy wine a lot, and I certainly would welcome any wine discussion here on the webcast as well. So, thank you for the question. Much appreciated. All right.
Jason, I've got one. You've done this 3 years in a row now.
Yeah.
What's the good to great for winemaking? Like, what have you learned? Like, what you have good wine, and then what's that different thing that you do that makes it great wine?
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll say a couple different things. The area that a lot of home winemakers fall short is they skip over or at least don't sufficiently degas their wines. And this is bad because it shows up so easily. It's very common that if you get offered any kind of sample of homemade wine, if you get like a sparkling, bubbly type flavor, that's a wine that's not been properly degassed, and you just never end up getting past that. Well, degassing wine can be a little bit tedious, but it's not difficult. You can buy a degassing wand from the world famous Brew and Grow in Bolingbrook, Illinois, and that attaches to a drill, and all you got to do is just whip the wine around until there's less bubbles that end up forming in the wine as it's kind of whipping around. Not a big deal. So that's the biggest, most common mistake that people make in home winemaking. What's another thing that separates good wine from great wine? One of the things that we started doing in year 2 of making wine is we wanted to control the tartness of wine, and each red wine is going to have varying levels of tartness in it. If you're concerned about an overly tart wine, you can cold crash wine just the same way that you do beer. And what happens is those tart crystals that are in the wine will all solidify in the wine and it'll fall out. So if you're racking over the wine to a bottling bucket, which you're always going to, then all of those tart crystals are going to be left behind. And what's going to be left is a very clear, crisp wine that, in my opinion, is really, really good. So there's two quick, helpful hints as far as winemaking. And George's internet is just not coming back. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think this is going to get better tonight. So we may be, we may end up having to close the show because George's internet is just not cooperating.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it is absolutely not tonight. I don't know why.
Big Luke.
So,
I'll echo that here. That's an excellent comment you just made mention. Nothing worse than a bubbly, happy Merlot. 100%. If you're offered, some nice homemade wine, it looks nice, but all you've got is just this bubbly texture. It's such a letdown. Yeah.
All right, sorry guys, I had to cut out.
It's all good.
I had
No
a
worries.
phone call. I had a fellow. I reached out to a couple of breweries about getting a bag of grain until I can get my order in. So it was him calling back. So I had I hit the FU button. And I'm like, oh wait a minute, I need to accept this phone call. So I don't have to go nowhere. He's gonna drop the grain off at my brewery tomorrow. That's even awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dropping grain.
So,
Oh,
Jason,
wow.
You were asked, do you crush and press your own fruit?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes. The answer is yes.
All right.
Oh. Okay, you get your own grapes. You have a press, or do you rent one, or how do you do that? Are you one of those old school people? Get barefoot and get up all in there.
Yeah. Smash it, barefoot style.
Yeah, the barefoot style is a myth. Unfortunately, I've never met somebody who's doing that to press their grapes. No, the guy I make wine with just fortunately has a old school grape press, which he inherited at the time that he got married, and I will leave it to Rich to explain the rest of that story. But yeah, that's ended up working for us.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I got some winemakers that they buy the juice already pressed.
Yes.
And
that's what I thought you did.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. We go up to our process just at a high level. We go up to Wisconsin. There's a vineyard that gives you access to all of their vines. You pick all the grapes yourself. You pay by the weight, and then there's a machine there that will press all the grapes for you. And if you want, you can press and then juice the grapes. So all you're left with is the juice. You're only going to want to do those with clear wines. All the other wines you're going to want to ferment with the skins on because you will extract more of the flavor and the character of the grapes by doing that. And then we take all those in buckets and fermenters, bring them back to Illinois, and we do everything from the fermentation process onto bottling just here in Illinois.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
So the old school grape presses, which many people probably have an image in their head of what that looks like. This may sound scary, but it's true. That comes into play after fermenting the wine on the skins. So after all that's done, exactly. You gotta make sure it's clean and sanitized. But yes, you're dumping all of that, all of those elements from the wine, the juice, and the skins. All that goes into the press, and then you just have wood blocks that you just push that down as far as you can, and be left with just nothing left but that good red wine juice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose that makes sense. You're gonna have to strain those skins out somehow because you don't want them in the final product.
Exactly. That's where that press comes into play. I had the same. I had to talk to the owner of a wine shop just to get comfortable with it. I ended up sending him pictures of it. I was like, "Is this really what I do? I've got this fermented wine. It's this is all it's 11-12% based on the fermentation. Am I really supposed to take all of this fermented elements and just put them in this really old wine press?" And he's like, "Yeah, That's what you do. Okay, man.
Huh.
So
Spray that press down with some Star Sand and get to work.
yeah, exactly.
Have at it. So, all right, I've seen a question over here in the comments.
Yeah.
Big Luke, what country are you from watching our podcast? And I'm kind of curious how you found out about it. That's kind of yeah. You said main question: how did I fall into a podcast on a Thursday from a different country?
Yeah.
So,
Oh wow, how great is this?
yeah, it is. It is. I think it's a milestone.
So now we're not.
we're
Now we're
international
the
now.
global, homebrew.
We're
No,
a
really-
global
really happy to
webcast
have
about all things beer and beer making. Welcome, Big Luke.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're able to find us. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It
So-
could be me relentlessly saying, "Oh, I want to watch podcast." Nice place brew, nice place brew, nice place brew. I plug it all.
Oh, trust me, we've all gone through our YouTube rabbit holes like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely have. So oh,
So,
man, I had
but-
a question.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead, Paulie.
I was gonna say, I kind of wish Rich was gonna be here because he's from Canada, and I'm a brew nerd. Okay. Oh, well, welcome.
Pre-COVID? All right.
Pre-COVID, yeah,
Right
that's
on.
Good.
What-
How long you been brewing?
Welcome
Are you,
Canada.
Yeah, welcome Canada. Are you all grain or are you doing extract, partial mash? Good question to ask because then we can answer questions from there. Actually, I had a phone call today from a buddy of mine that wanted to start brewing, and he was he was asking questions. He's like, because he did an all grain batch one time, and he's like, I kind of want to do that. I'm like, yeah, but you did it once with someone helping you. You're doing this all by yourself. Start from the beginning, work your way up. Learn fermentation, learn sanitation, all that. Don't spend $500-600 and go all grain right away and not even know anything about any of that stuff. And that's all I'm going to say
Absolutely.
to any person that's ever watching this. If you're thinking about brewing, go buy yourself a Brewer's Best kit or the Northern Brewer or Midwest or whatever you can get, and do extract from the get go. You'll learn so much more. Learn bottle conditioning. I kind of regret that I can count on one hand the amount of times I bottle conditioned beer. So
Yeah, so Polly, I would add to that and say that I agree with you wholeheartedly, except I would say start off easy, but whatever equipment you get, make sure it's scalable. If you're going to get a pot where you're going to be doing extract brews, make sure it's at least a 7 or 8 gallon pot. So that way, when you do upgrade later to an all grain, you don't have this pot laying around that you can't do anything with. If you have a 5 gallon pot, you could do that for extracts, but you can't really do that for a
5-gallon batch. No, I completely
That is
agree
an
with
excellent point.
That is, and that's actually a good point that I'm going to make sure I make when they come up to the store that I work at, because I told them to come to the store and I can walk them around and show them how to do it. So
Yeah.
no, and that's a great point. Yeah, at least a 7-gallon pot, because that's what you need. Because that's what you're doing pre-boil, like in all grain.
Yep.
Oh, you're doing brew in a bag, Big Luke.
No,
All right.
All right,
Okay.
well,
All right.
are you
Yeah.
washing your grain?
Nothing wrong with
or are you
that.
just draining it? Let me ask you that. Wait a minute. I used it for sparge on a batch system and Vorloff. I need to go back to his comments.
Yeah.
See what Jacob's doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm kind of following the comments right now.
No, you're good. Yeah. So and you're right. Even if you can't use it for your main boil, you can end up using it for other stuff. But even like a Vorloff, or as crazy as it sounds, like Vorloff, the way you're talking about, I think is a little bit more advanced. Where a lot of people for recirculation initially when they're doing all grain, I know we did this. You're using a pitcher. And you're just like pouring a pitcher into your mash tun until it starts running clear.
Yep.
And then, and then just going from there, when you're doing those especially when you're doing batch sparges. And, but yeah, I mean, any equipment you have, you can find a use for. Hell, I took my old pot and it's a hot liquor tank for my Herm system now. I'm just trying to think of that person that's trying to get into brewing and trying to do it in a cost-effective way. And you might spend a little bit more money. In fact, you probably will for a slightly larger brew pot. But if you plan on taking it, down the road a little bit, it'll be worth it to spend just a little bit more up front.
No, I could get behind that 100%. I agree with that. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
What other advice can we give to the beginner / intermediate homebrewers?
Find books, read books.
Yeah.
Here's my thing is, granted, COVID got me onto a bunch of Facebook web pages, and I was a little drunk one night home by myself, and I joined a bunch of them. And I'm looking at all these, and like, maybe it's just because I've been brewing for a long time. I'm looking at what some of these people are saying. I'm like, yeah, if it works, it works, but some stuff just doesn't make sense, So don't believe everything you read on the internet. Do some research.
Okay.
And,
now that's really good advice here. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is all the homebrewing advice you find online, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I would go to more of like published books that have been around for many, many years, like How to Brew by Charlie. I can't think of his last name.
Charlie Papazian.
Marty Nashel, which we had on his show, The Home Brew for Dummies.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many books out there from seasoned people that have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
That's
really good advice. Let's talk about others, like the really solid, reliable sources for home brewing knowledge. And right at the top, I'll say a nice place, the weekly webcast, a nice place to brew, that's available on Facebook and YouTube. Yes, sorry, I'm throwing a plug out there for our own show. I get to do that. We mentioned books by Marty Nashel, books by Charlie Papazian. 100%, those are great resources. Let's also make mention of Brewlosophy. And Brewlosophy, you're talking about some advanced topics there and experiments that they talk about, but nevertheless, those are guys that really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they also, are taking an experimental approach with a lot of notions that people get about home brewing. So highly recommend Brewlosophy. Another comment that we have here is How to Brew by John Palmer. That's a great plug as well.
Yeah, because I think Charlie Papazian did The Joys of Home Brewing. I think that's where I had it mixed up.
The Complete Joy of Home Brewing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was by Charlie, and then John Palmer did How to Brew. Yeah. I mean, I would rely more on published stuff that's been around for many years than some guy you see on the internet that posted what he did. Like I've seen stuff. I'm like,
unless that's us.
Well, I already gave a plug out for us. We're covered.
Yeah, we got you, George.
Come on, Polly.
I mean, sometimes I think of my advice. I'm like, all right, I don't know about all that, but it worked for me. So, but I guess my thing is I've done this stuff and looked it up, and it's really worked. Like me and Jason did. We did that no chill freaking the no chill pressure fermentation. Like we threw two curveballs at it.
Yep.
And it turned out, hell, it got me the fucking job here. So we're leaving it at that. So.
That was our own brewing experiment, and we talked about that from start to finish here on the webcast.
Yeah, for sure.
It was awesome. I got a question that was texted to me here, and I think it's worth mentioning. I think it's a great one. Why is there not a beer named There's Something About Polly?
Oh, it came from Doug. I get the same question.
Yeah.
I responded, don't worry, Polly's truck on 66 is coming.
But that's not the question. That's not the question. The question was, why is there a beer not named There's Something About Polly?
Because I haven't thought about that yet.
Okay.
I mean, right now, I mean, I get it. There's something about Polly, something about Mary. All right, Doug.
Yes.
Like right now, I have a whole theme going on right now with like my beer names and everything, and I'm thinking I'm doing good. I mean, hell, I did a thing last night. It was kind of funny because this weekend we're having our customer appreciation Christmas party, and I did a peppermint porter and a coffee porter, and I put a question out there to Facebook to all my friends, and you would not believe the response and names. And I got some names already logged in for future beer names in the future. But I chose what I chose, and it was actually a lot of fun. I mean, right now, my whole theory is, it's all about music. So most of my beers are going to have some kind of lyric to a tune. Figure out what tune it is, if that makes any kind of sense. I'm not going to go out and say, Uncle John's Band. I'm not going to say that. Grateful Dead tune. Or, Jeremy from Pearl Jam. Doug.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a lyric from that song, but I'm not going to flat out say that. I'm trying not to get a cease and desist order. That's my story right now.
Hey, Polly spoke in class today.
Polly spoken.
Oh God, that's fucking class.
That's really good.
Hold on, let me go get my notes. I gotta write that down.
Remember what we were saying about the cease and desist thing? Yeah, right there. That could be the one.
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess right now it's just a matter of time before one comes through. So,
Of course.
but I've been having a lot of fun with it all. So I love it. I mean, I never thought that I would enjoy doing what I'm doing as much as I do right now.
That's awesome. Let's give another plug for Route 66 Old School Brewing in Wilmington, Illinois. You can see Polly or just check out his work. His beers are now on tap.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, Jason, you haven't been here in a while, but you remember how I had all those empty taps?
Yep.
As of right now, they're all full.
Oh.
I'll have 17 beers on as of Saturday.
My gosh. 17 beers.
And I would say half of them I either brewed myself or I got something to do with. Granted, 2 of them are one-offs. There was a porter that I flavored. I did the peppermint porter and the coffee porter today.
Yeah. Okay.
I did the peppermint porter last week. I let it chill, and I kind of did like a cold brew thing in crushed peppermint.
Okay.
My goodness, I didn't know what to expect, and I tried them. It's very subtle, but it's very good. I'm glad I used a porter instead of the stout.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. More of that flavor will impart on that beer for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
So, like I said, I'm kicking ass and taking names down here, and that's all that matters.
So come and check out your work at Route 66 Old School Brewing in Wilmington, Illinois. All right.
Oh,
What else we got? I want to before we close out, I do want to give another plug out to our audio podcast. If you're enjoying the webcast here, we do an audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew. It's available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, and any other place that you get your podcast from. We have a library of over 40 episodes. We uploaded an episode within the last 2 weeks, which talks about the history of the Pabst Blue Ribbon Award from the Chicago World's Fair back in 1893. It's a great listen, so check it out. And if you go to our YouTube page, you can see all of our past episodes. We do this webcast every Wednesday here at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, just in case you can't wait until next Thursday to check us out. We're not done just yet. Where is George? Is George not coming back? Oh boy, is his internet finally crapped out for the last time? Oh boy.
Well, hey, Jason, you do some dribble real quick. I need to go get a beer. Talk about something so I can at least do my toast.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. All right. I got it.
All right, do it. I'll be right back.
All right. All right. So I'm going to tell a little story just for everybody. And I think everybody can relate to this to some degree. I, as a home brewer, am currently out of homebrewed beer. So I had a big cleaning weekend this past weekend, and I have a 4-tap kegerator in the garage, which was built a year and a half ago. And it's, I mean, if anybody is kegging beer and it does not have a kegerator, I cannot recommend it enough. Like having a kegerator and having beer on tap is just I to say it's cool just doesn't even do it justice. It's cool, it's convenient, it's totally the way to enjoy homebrew beer. There's just I can't underplay it at all. But anyways, as we all know, as homebrewers, one of the biggest things one of the biggest tasks that we take on as homebrewers is we clean. And we constantly are cleaning. There's seemingly no end to the cleaning and sanitation that we're doing, and not just on our brew days. It's at every step of everything that we do. It just never ends. So anyways, this past weekend, I ended up cleaning out my kegerator. I had some, I had empty kegs that still had not been cleaned out. I still had the bottom of a kegerator that just had gotten a little bit grimy. And I had a beer on tap that just needed to get pitched because it just wasn't any good. So here at a nice place to brew, Darien, we are currently with an empty kegerator for the first time since I built the kegerator. Yeah.
What?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So you need to do like 3 or 4 brew days because that's not acceptable.
Yes. Well, listen, hey, as long as this Baltic Porter doesn't go to crap, which we were talking about earlier, then that'll be the return to having beer on tap.
Or
okay, so sorry. Go ahead,
Polly.
George.
All right, George, you finish.
No,
I'm going to say what I'm going to
It's
say.
a little bit off topic, so go ahead, Polly.
All right, Jason, you could bring one of your corny kegs that are clean and sanitized and pressurized down to Route 66 Old School Brewing, and I could fill you a corny keg from that, so you could have beer in your keys.
Wow, that's quite an offer.
That is quite the offer.
Wow. I'm not going to say no to that. I'm not. Wow. I've never been offered that before. I'm flattered. I'm kind of speaking.
Yeah. Well, I had a home brewer come in a couple weeks ago and asked me that question, and I threw it at the owners, and they're like, "We could do that." I'm like, "Yeah, you got to do." Like I kind of told them, like, I don't want no dirty kegs. I'm not cleaning nothing. I'm not sanitizing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not even pressurizing it. Bring it to me that way. As long as it's this way, I'll fill it. I can figure out a way to fill it. I'll just jump a keg for you.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah.
That is.
Be a couple growlers.
Yeah.
On the bar tab.
Growlers.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not going to say no to that. George, you were saying?
Yeah. Yes, I was. And guys, I'm back. I rebooted my modem. I think I've got a better connection now, so hopefully it'll be stable.
Huzzah!
Fingers crossed. But Luke, I wanted to you had mentioned about Stan, I'm not even going to try his last name. And I looked him up while I was having my issues, and I have read the hops book. It is a bit of a slog, but he put together a ton of really good information. So he is definitely somebody that I am going to put on my list as far as beer authors. Especially, I noticed he had one called Brew Like a Monk. And given my propensity towards Belgium and German styles, I think that's probably up my angle that I should give that a shot.
Is there any Guar fans
here
in the studio or in the comments?
Well, I know about Guar. I do like them, but let me answer one more question here. Jacob Robbins was asking about water chemistry. Best thing to do it, you could read a book, but what I would do is spend the $35, get a Warren Labs report, because then whatever brew software you have, you can plug that in and you can change your water profile the way you need to change it. So
Yeah,
that's
I mean
my-
that's good, and I would pair with that either the the water calculator that's built into Beersmith, or Brew and Water, which has both a free and a pro option.
I haven't
Brew
dove
and Water
into that yet.
is Brew and Water, you just need you need Excel, or I think it works
Okay.
with Google Sheets too, and it works really, really well.
I've
Yeah.
I've done the Beersmith stuff, and it's so nice because now that I have my water profile from Warren Labs, I mean, Jason still needs to come see it. Like I have it in my computer. So like I did a hazy the other day. I did like you want a hoppy profile, you hit whatever profile you're looking for or whatever equipment you have, and like I have my brew house equipment in there, and clickety click, and I got every number that I need. Make sure you got a scale that works good enough. And actually, this beer right here was the very first beer that I used the Warren Labs and Bruce Beersmith calculator on.
Nice. What was the water profile that you pulled in?
Hoppy. Something
Hoppy. Okay.
Yeah, it was hoppy. I'd have to go into Beersmith, but it was like a hoppy, and it didn't have a hazy one, but it was something hoppy. So more of like an IPA, which, you know, if you're doing a traditional hazy, not that lactose adjunct bullshit that's trendy right now. I mean, you can make a better beer. And I remember when I did this as a home brewer and now this as a pro brewer, I could tell the difference. I almost want to do it homebrew style, do it side by side for myself just to see how it turned out. I really do. I'm about that tempted to do that.
I think the differences will be obvious.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree.
I never thought I'd be going to the grocery store to buy Arm & Hammer baking soda for my water profile. That was the weirdest one ever.
Using baking soda in your beer?
Well, it's in the water profile. So
what I was about to say is you're only going to have to go once because the volumes that you're buying are going to last you a real long time. But you, of course, are the head brewer at Route 66 Old School Brewing, so you're making big batches. So that baking soda and sodium and gypsum and calcium chloride, those things, that's probably going to go a little quicker for you, based on volume.
Yeah. Like at least with the hoppy category, like the first time I did it, they wanted like over 100 grams of gypsum. I'm calling everybody. I'm like,
wow,
is this right? And they're like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
100 grams of gypsum. Thank God I got 3 pounds here. So,
yeah.
That's the volumes they sell gypsum in, 3 pounds.
They can, yeah.
I've never. It's just wow.
I have a little.
Yeah, that's what I have. I've got that little dinky, like 4-ounce plastic bottle.
You want me to go get the bag of gypsum I got?
Sure, I'd love to see it. Yeah. Oh wow, this is going to be like a whole new level of what of what professional brewing looks like. I guess you could get that. I mean, because you've seen the commercial sized hop bags too. You know, because we're used to buying those dinky little 1 ounce wrapped packages. You know, you're selling those in like 2 pound bags when you're at Polly's level.
I'll tell you, a commercial pitch of yeast is an impressive thing as well, because it is just this ginormous bag of yeast and nutrient, and it's
Polly's,
it's impressive.
Polly asked me for a brick of 05, and the brick that he's using on his scale is 500 grams.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get a brick of 05? I was telling George what a brick of 05 is. Yeah. Baldy knows.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
know.
break that up, or do you just chuck in the whole brick?
I just chuck it in. I mean, I could go on a yeast calculator and calculate and dump in the amount milligrams that I want and then throw it away. Or I can just throw it all in there and, oh no, my beer is like
Well,
0.5% better, higher. So
yeah. I wasn't even thinking about it from a perspective of wasting yeast. I was thinking of a perspective of it of just this, like, do you break it up so it doesn't have to like break up in the mixture and
No,
or do you just chuck a brick
throw
in
it-
there?
Yeah, just dump it in. So here's my calcium chloride.
Oh, it's a pail. Okay.
Yeah, that's my calcium chloride.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on, I gotta cover up. No, here is my Epsom salt. I'm covering up where I bought it from.
I have that same size too. I couldn't find Epsom salt with at any smaller volume.
So, and here's my
I
calcium
couldn't either.
chloride.
Mine's massive.
Yeah.
Calcium chloride right there, and I'm using like 100 plus grams, depending on what I'm using.
Okay.
So I was able to grab the other stuff.
Where's the gypsum? Is that the one?
This was a gypsum, yeah.
Oh, that's
is
the
my
gypsum.
gypsum,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's the
It's,
gypsum.
Okay.
Jeez.
Hold on.
That would last me. I don't think I'd ever finish it.
Your whole homebrewing career.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 5 pounds of gypsum, and I'll probably
my
go through
God.
this in a few months.
See what I mean?
Oh man.
You want me to go?
Homebrewing to professional level.
You want me to go grab the bag of roll flocks that I have?
Well, I was just telling George about the hops. That's another sign because at the world famous Brew and Grow, you're selling there's just the 1 ounce little packages.
Mm-hmm.
What are the packages you have in the cooler? What are those? 2 pounds, 3 pounds?
Depends on the size. The little ones are like anywhere from 8 ounces to 1 pound. The big ones are 11 pounds.
11 pounds of hops. Holy shit!
And you've seen how much
God.
hops I have in my cooler.
Yes.
Polly, have you used the cryo hops?
I have.
Yeah, cryo hops. Yeah.
I did in polished chalk. Like the award-winning polished chalk, I use cryo hops. I use Palisade, Cascade, Mosaic. I'm brain farting the other one. But regardless, yeah, I use a cryo. I mean, the alphas on those are crazy. I mean,
Yeah, that's just a higher
45
concentration of alphas, right?
yeah, because it's how they
Yeah.
it's how they make them. Because you're cryogenically freezing the hops, and you're getting a higher concentration out of there. You're not pelletizing like
Right.
they normally do. So yeah, but like I remember when I looked at it the first time, I like mosaics are only like 12-13% alpha. I pick up a bag of cryo mosaic, 25%. I'm like, the fuck?
Jeez.
Holy cow!
Got to make sure you don't accidentally grab the wrong one when you're pitching, because you'll either have way too much or way too little.
Or you have extra hoppy beer, or like, oh, it should have been hoppier. Damn it! That's where planning comes into play. You set your hops aside. Like this one this hazy, I'm getting ready to probably dry hop tomorrow. I'm gonna dump the yeast and dry hop it tomorrow, or homebrew side, secondary, and then dry hop, because you don't want to have all those hops on that yeast cake. You don't want that. You'll get that hop bird that we all talk about in hazies.
Yeah.
So dump it.
So,
and then
Polly,
dump-
what is your
Yep.
at your scale? What is your organization like? So, do you have, like, if it were me, because I know I do this at a homebrew scale too. I have little kind of prep bowls that I use, and I put everything in prep bowls, and so I can dump it in at the right time. I mean, I'm dumping in half an ounce, ounce and a half at a time. You're dumping in, a couple pounds sometimes. Like, how do you do prep so you're not scrambling to get something at the right time?
It's all about organization I mean, like Jason helped me out with the West Coast, and granted, I didn't have the organization down, and he helped out a lot, even though we almost lost the whole fucking West Coast throughout the whole brewery. But
I don't think he's ever going to live that one
no,
down.
he won't. He won't.
No, I won't.
But it's all about, being a brewer, and I learned this as a home brewer. It's all about when you're doing it by yourself. It's all about time management. All right, I know I got to do this, but I know I have to do this, and this to get ready for that. So, okay, when you're collecting, once you're on cruise control with your fly, spars, and collecting, you go get your bittering hop going. Once you get your bittering hop going, you start getting your sanitizing your fermenter and getting your whole transfer from your heat exchanger into your oxygen into the thing. As long as you keep an eye on your timing and you have your system down. I'm not gonna say you know what you're doing because that's so fucking good. You have your timing down. You can have it all done, and like goes back to the homebrew thing. It's all about you work your ass off to sit on your ass again. You hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. You gotta get all this done, and once it's all done, you sit there and you watch the time, and it's the same thing what I'm doing compared to doing a 5 or 10 gallon batch like I used to do.
Okay.
It's just a much bigger scale.
Yeah.
Sure. Makes sense. So, I other than the fact that I spent, good amount of my time swearing at my screen because I got kicked out, I think this has been fun.
Awesome.
And does anybody else have any questions for us? You can try to play Stump the Semi-Pros if you want, or just ask us any questions you have about home brewing or winemaking, and we'll try to answer them. So
I'm getting dangerously low in my glass here.
I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, I was gonna.
I know, Chase, if you've been following your phone, but I think Doug loved the whole Paulie spoken class today. So I will go put that in the notebook along with all the other names.
That's so much better. Paulie's.
Because it so goes along with the theme that I have going with my beer names, minus the other ones. Like the Amber, no, that's just for a friend of mine that I made an Amber for her years ago. And the whole thing is I was going to make it out of fresh snow and melt the snow and make it for her. Okay, I'm doing almost 100 gallons. There's no way in hell that I'm going to thaw out 100 gallons of fucking snow unless we have a polar vortex and a blizzard again.
Oh,
then,
no way. Oh my God. Can you imagine trying to do water chemistry on that?
Oh God.
You need your own kit.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be its
melt
own
100 gallons of water.
Yeah. Oh God. Talk about reinventing everything.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Oh man.
There's a little expression in business that I think applies here. Is the juice worth the squeeze? And
there you go.
Yeah, the answer is obvious there.
Oh man, Jason, we never got the chance to hear from you. What are you drinking tonight?
Oh, same one from last week. This is from Phase 3 in Lake Zurich, Illinois. This is Devious Methods. It's a double IPA, and it's quite good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's worth going back to. I think we've hit all the homebrewing questions. It looks like the questions have quieted down. This was an awesome episode. Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, I cannot applaud the participation enough. Like, this really made this episode. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Randy, Joshua, Big Luke, Jacob. Who else am I forgetting here? I think I hit most of them.
Yeah, you did.
I think I did.
I'd
be hard pressed to without thanking Uncle Rick also, who's a regular, is a huge supporter of the webcast. Cheers to you, Uncle Rick. You're awesome, and we'll see you real soon. What else do we have before we close out? I will give another plug to our recent audio podcast on the Pabst Blue Ribbon Award. Check it out on our audio podcast, A Nice Place to Brew. It's available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, all the places you get your podcast from. Excuse me. Our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com. You can see us again here on the webcast next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our YouTube channel has all of our past episodes. We've been doing episodes every week going back to the beginning of COVID-19. So all the way back to March. We have quite a library here, and there's tons of video there. So check out our back catalog. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you'll join us again this coming Thursday for another webcast of A Nice Place to Brew. Have a great week, everybody. And we sign off every show the same way as we raise a glass, and I hope everybody still has beer left. It takes a lot of good beer to make great beer. Cheers.
Cheers.